So one other thing you could do is actually offer insurance. The alternative would be to all of these strategies, and the logical alternative is insurance. What would public policy look like here? And you would want some way to insure people. But let's go. But right now I'm asking a narrower question, which is, how would if there was a market, I was facing risk, and there was an insurance market, I could buy insurance, right? I could, if I'm worried about risk and I'm doing all kinds of inefficient things to avoid risk, I could get it. I could deal with it by just saying, look, I'm going to buy insurance on the weather. When the weather's bad, I'm going to get money. So here's a weather insurance product in Ghana. This was offered at different prices to different people. The striking fact here is, so when you offer it at a price of 0, people are willing to take it. Not entirely surprisingly. However, if you offer them at a price of, as the price goes up, the actuarially fair price is, what is an actuarially fair price, if I can say the word correctly? Yeah.
The amount it actually costs, like in aggregate, to get to like an expected value of 0.
Right. So the amount I pay you in expectation is equal to the amount you pay. That's actually fair price. You can see that some people buy above the actually fair price. Why is that?
Is there a risk averse?
Sorry?
Is there a risk averse?
Because they're risk averse. So you may be willing to pay, the market, economic theory would say you should be willing to pay more than the actually fair price. Why? Because actually fair price says on average you break even. But but risk hurts you a lot. So you don't want to break even on average. You're willing to pay extra money to get rid of the bad things that happen when your money. So risk hurts you more than just, it's not just that sometimes you get more, sometimes you get less. The fact that sometimes you get less is worrying you, is making you do bad things that are inefficient. So you should be willing to pay more than the actually fair price to get insurance, because that's the whole idea of insurance. We typically, when car insurance is almost hugely not fair. If you look at the car insurance we have in the US, why do we have that? Because we want to be covered against the possibility that sometimes people will sue us for $1 million in damages. So and so we willing to pay a lot more than what's fair. So these people, they're not willing to pay at the fair price, 30% willing to take it and you have to really go down to about a price of 1 to get, that's 1/9 of the fair price to get people to take it. So people don't seem to want insurance. So if everything I said so far was true, why don't they want insurance? I mean, I said they did all these inefficient things to deal with risk. Isn't that immediately telling us that they should want insurance? Yes? No? Well, so, and in fact, when they take insurance, good things happen. So why don't they want? So this picture, what it shows is, this is the people who, this is spending on, total chemical spending is an odd title, but I didn't put it there, but it's total spending on chemical fertilizer. So how much fertilizer do you buy? Well, when you get insurance, you buy about, a little bit more than in control. So some people were offered insurance, some people were offered credit, some people were offered both. And you see there's some gains in investment. People underinvest when they get, so relative to getting just the loan, insurance really helps. So when you get a loan, You don't want the loan if it doesn't come with insurance, because you worry that you can't repay with the loan. So you don't actually gain much. So if you offered a loan, you gain nothing. But when you offered loan and insurance, then your investment goes up by almost about 50%. So you really invest a lot more in fertilizer when you get insurance and credit together, relative to getting just credit. So that says that affects your income. This says that this affects your welfare. When you get insurance and credit, you are actually about half as likely to have somebody in your family miss a meal. That's an extreme form of risk. You're just starving because you don't have money. That halves when you offer insurance. So insurance is very good for these people. Why don't they want it? Insurance seems to be increasing output and reducing risk.